And what's up, everybody, and welcome back to What's the Deal? I am your host, TJ Bowser, and I am blessed to have a very, very special guest today, the very handsome, the very awesome Mr. Mike Jevcak. So you've been the general manager of Diehl of Butler for how many months now?
Just since June 1st.
June 1st, so 2 months going on here. Okay, so before we get into how that's been, let's talk about what got you here. So tell us a little bit about your background and journey that led you to getting into the automotive industry.
So I was in the industry over 20 years ago for about a year. When I was younger, I got into car sales, got recruited into that. I believe I was 19 years old when I did that. So I got a little taste of the industry and always had a passion for vehicles in general. Did that, ended up getting recruited into a different business, at age 21. Stayed in that line of work for 15 years. Worked my way up through a company and then decided it was time for a change again. And ultimately had always had a bit of an issue with buying cars. So I had a lot of connections in the car industry.
Okay.
So started thinking, well, if I'm going to get into the industry, maybe I can get right into finance, which is pretty difficult to do. But made some connections. And April of 2018, got back into the business after 15 years doing a different job. Got right into the finance department. Started with a different organization, did finance for about 3 years, and then about 3 years and 1 month after that, the Diehl organization bought the company that I was with. I stayed on, and then about 6 months later, got out of the finance department and got more involved in other parts of the business. Had quite a bit of management in my background, and once the directors and everything realized what my skill set was, they thought I could be utilized in other ways. And so took over the Grove City location in August of 2022, and then came here in November of last year to make it an easier transition after Rich Grossman was here for 40 some years. So.
Yes, and what a transition it has been. So as you step into this position, what is your vision for Diehl of Butler?
Well, the store's always been kind of the hallmark of the organization, being as it was the first, the primary location, one of the largest locations, both physical footprint and, business wise, as far as size goes, just really figuring out how I can increase efficiency.
Okay.
Very big in efficiency. How do you get the most for the least amount of effort? And I don't mean that in a negative connotation at all. That's just simply, how can we do better with being smarter with our time?
Yeah.
And when I got here, obviously there was a lot of tenure. The people that are here are absolutely fantastic. The tenure that is here is truly remarkable. From every position here, it's truly amazing. And the family type atmosphere is huge as well. So just figuring out ways to get people to change their mindset a little bit, change ways of thinking about things, understanding that there might be a better way to do it, while still expressing my appreciation and understanding for how they've been doing things. So I would say just simply efficiency, getting things done in a faster and more efficient way. So
expanding on that, how would you describe your leadership style, and what principles or values do you plan on emphasizing here other than efficiency?
I think that I think that my leadership style is very similar to Rich Grossman's, in that I'm extremely, sometimes too much so, empathetic. I have seen a lot. I've done a lot in my time, and I understand how people think and how people feel. At the same time, I probably have a little too much drive on certain things, and I have a tendency to sometimes push people away because of my drive. I don't really have much of an off switch. And so I have to be cognizant of the fact that not everybody thinks like me. And so, especially more so coming in after somebody like Rich, who has a heart of gold and has had such an impact on not just the business, but the people that are around him, constantly staying vigilant of how I'm interacting with people.
Awesome. So automotive industry is all about customer experience. How do you plan on enhancing the customer experience in this location?
Well, simply put, I mean, that's always been kind of my forte. Even the previous business I was in, I've been in some form of retail or customer service since I was 17 years old.
Oh, okay.
And so I always, and still to this day, I learned from an early age, but I still do it now, that I have to look at things, and all of us have to look at things from a consumer standpoint. So when I'm thinking about something, talking about something, making a decision on something, I'm always thinking, what's the consumer's point of view? How are they understanding what's happening? How are they hearing what's going on, whatever those situations are? And so I think that really just listening to people is the biggest difference. And again, this store does a really good job of that overall in most of the positions, but just taking the customer experience and, over communicating, I think is something that needs to be done more so across the board here. My thought process is quite simply that just calling somebody and telling them that you're thinking about them, whether it's service, parts, sales, even if you don't have an answer for them, especially in today's world where everything is so robotic. Yeah. That is probably the most important thing, not just in this business, but any business.
Absolutely. So the automotive industry is ever changing with technology and advancements and stuff like that. So how do you plan on ensuring that Diehl Auto, especially this location, keeps at the forefront of these trends?
Man, that's a tough question. You're putting a lot of weight on my shoulders there. So, yes, the business is changing, but to that point, every business is changing. Yeah. And every business is going to continue to change. Going back to kind of what we just talked about, business has been the same forever. And that's been that if you treat your customers right and you treat people like human beings and not just a number, your business will continue to do well. So quite frankly, I don't think too much about how the business is changing. It's not that I don't pay attention to it. It's just that I don't get worried or worked up about how it's changing. I roll with it. We all roll with it, but ultimately treat people right. That's literally all that matters.
You've been in the car business long enough to know that change is going to happen constantly.
It's inevitable. You can't do anything about it. And so, and in the same aspect, you can't get worked up about it. Yeah. Something that you've been doing right for 2 months, 2 years, or 20 years could be wrong tomorrow.
I think the people that benefit the most from all that rapid change are the people who do automotive news and stuff like that, because they get those headlines and stuff.
I would agree completely. And I have found, not just in this business, but in general, in news in general, I don't pay too much attention to it. Simply put, because back to your point, if it changes today, it could change again tomorrow. So, I roll with the punches, I think is the direction I like to go.
Awesome. So engaged employees are often a key to successful business. How do you plan on fostering a positive and collaborative work environment for all the staff here?
For me, it's honestly going back to kind of what I said before, where I don't have an off switch. I've really been trying to practice this a lot, and I made a lot of mistakes throughout the many years, the decades of management that I've been in, that I have to slow down and I have to take the time to just go talk to people and not talk to them about business. And I still struggle with that because I'm so driven by performance. I forget to do that. And so what I've tried to continue to get better at is when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm swamped, when there's so many things coming at me, when all these changes that we just talked about are happening, I sometimes will literally just drop what I'm doing, leave my computer, and just go walk around my service shops, go walk around to the sales guys, go walk through the body shop and just talk to people. Because I realize it's a release for me too. I can forget about whatever's ailing me at that particular moment and just talk to people, you know, and obviously that allows them to open up to me. They get to know me. They understand that I'm not just a guy in an office. Yeah. We can talk, we can BS, we can do all of these things and still have a good working relationship and still get things done.
Yes. And it's completely different. You've come all the way over to the admin building and stopped to talk to us marketing guys. And that's something that nobody really stops to talk to us type people, but that's appreciated. And I appreciate that approach to management.
Sure. Absolutely.
So at Diehl, we're very involved in the communities that we operate in, and many successful businesses do that. But how do you plan on contributing and engaging the local community here in Butler?
Well, it's I guess this might be a short answer. It's simple here. because the way that Karina and before her Matthew really were involved with the public and with the community. And I saw it when I was at our Sharon location. I saw it when I was at the Grove City location. They want to be involved in the community. They want to be a pillar. And I think that's fantastic. I love getting involved in those things. I will say that because of the longevity of the store, because of the involvement that's already taken place here, whereas in other locations, we had to reach out to try to find places to get involved with. Here, it's the exact opposite, where I can't manage all of them.
Getting flooded all the time.
I get flooded all the time. I get people walking in, daily. Hey, do you want to be involved in this? And that's a good problem to have, but it's also unfortunate because we can't say yes to everything.
You got to pick and choose.
And so, I think spreading that, maybe wealth isn't the right word, but spreading us in the community is very important to me. And the reception that we get is pretty fantastic, and just continuing to be able to do that, to have the ability to do that, because not all businesses do, especially in today's world. I just think it's great. I love doing things. I love getting out to community events, whatever it is. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in quite a few of them. And I hope to continue to be able to do that.
So with every role comes its major set of challenges and opportunities. What do you perceive to be some of the most major challenges? What do you perceive to be the most major challenges facing the automotive industry, and how do you plan on leveraging opportunities for growth using those?
Biggest challenges in the automotive industry. Again, I think that kind of goes back to what we already talked about, where the challenges change daily. You have your core set of challenges, but also going back to what I've said, which is treating people right. All business, the hardest part about any business is the people side of the business. And that's both the people that you work with, for, and around, but then also the customers that you're working for. People are always going to be the hardest part of this. In this particular location, we have, I believe the head count is upwards of 190 people when you add them all up.
Wow.
Those are 190 some odd different personalities with different bad mornings or different good days. Or it's that, business to me it's always going to be the same thing regardless of what business it is. The business doesn't necessarily change. What never changes for sure is that you have to know the people you're working with, and you have to treat them as individuals, and not as a group, not as a collective.
Awesome. So automotive industry is increasingly incorporating new technologies. Are there specific innovations or technologies that you're excited about implementing here?
Technologies as far as in the cars, or like within
it can be cars or within our actual own infrastructure.
Well, one thing that I'm excited about that we're going to be implementing pretty soon is essentially like RFID in the cars, where our service drive is going to be set up. A consumer will be here, say for instance today, and they'll have an identifying mark on their vehicle that the next time that they have an appointment, they pull into our service shop, or whether they just pull in for an express lube to get oil change, tire rotation, whatever you might have, they will pull into our service drive, and a TV is actually going to tell them, welcome to Diehl. It's going to have their name, it's going to have their car, it's going to have their appointment. Excellent. Or it's just going to say, hey, welcome to Diehl. How can we help you today? And obviously we'll still have a human being there that's coming out, greeting them, doing the normal things. But that technology is going to be really neat, because it will be a more welcoming experience before there's ever customer interaction. And I think that's really neat to be able to see.
So you've been a general manager at our Grove City location, like you previously mentioned, but how do you plan on to continuing your own learning and development in this role here?
Man, that's extremely, there's not a direct answer I can give to that. And again, it goes back to what we've already kind of discussed, is just, I consider every day successful if I learn something new. And so, it probably sounds a little cliche, but I think that the minute, the time, the day, the week that you stop learning something new, you're failed. You're done. Because you've closed off. You've closed your mind. You're not listening anymore. And so, there's not a direct answer I can give to that because every day is different.
Okay.
And even if it was a slow day, I always reflect on the end of that day and look back and say, you did this well, you did this poorly. Try this tomorrow, do something different tomorrow, reach out to a colleague. How do they do it differently? Never being afraid to say, I don't know. I learned that early as well. Just, I don't know is a powerful thing to say and
I agree.
to be able to learn.
Yeah.
So that will probably be the biggest one, and having the support staff and our ownership group, our directors, the other general managers, the guys that have been doing it longer than me, just saying, listen, I don't know how to do this. Can you help? And having that support system.
Awesome. So I think that's it for serious questions. Let's do a little bit of more fun questions. What's your favorite vehicle on the lot right now?
Favorite vehicle on the lot? That is a tough question. Probably I would say probably the TRX.
Okay.
It is technically sold, but it's still physically here right now. Again, just because that sort of thing is disappearing. Big high horsepower, cool truck kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily something I would drive, but it's really cool. I'd probably say the TRX.
Is that silver one?
That is the silver.
Okay. Yeah. I think we have two of them actually at the auto group all together.
We had a silver. Yeah, I think there's a used one out there somewhere too. So
awesome. So what's some stuff you like to do on your free time?
So there's limited free time. So I have a wife. We're actually going to be celebrating 10 years married next month. Been with her for 13 years. I have two dogs that are like my children. I do have a stepdaughter that is going to be she just turned 20 in June. So that keeps me busy in itself.
I bet.
But then I also have I would say what I like to do is golf.
Okay.
I try to golf every single weekend, at least once. That's kind of my release. And then other than that, when I'm not doing that, I try to exercise 5 times a week or so and get that squeezed in. And when I'm not doing that, I have 7.5 acres of property to maintain, fields to cut, and tree lines to take care of. And so I probably golf. We'll say golf is near the tippy top there. So
you game a little bit too, don't you?
I do enjoy gaming. So I grew up at the time of when video games really were coming into their own, and started with Atari and worked the way through the Nintendo systems and the PlayStations and all that. So, and my wife still picks on me. She's you're 40 some years old, you're still playing video games. I said, leave me alone. You watch The Bachelor. Just let me be me. So very, very limited time, but I do still enjoy gaming, especially during the winter time. Because summertime I'm pretty tied up, but winter I enjoy it.
Understandable. Okay, so final question: top 3 favorite car movies.
Oh man, first one that comes to mind: Gone in 60 Seconds.
Which one?
Did you want one?
There's original and there's a remake.
Oh, well, I'm talking about the
Nicolas Cage one.
Nicolas Cage with Eleanor. Yeah, Gone in 60 Seconds. Well, but it wasn't called that, was it?
I don't think. I would think it was something else.
You're talking about the one with Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was not called Gone in 60 Seconds.
It was different?
I think it was different. Maybe I'm crazy. I could be crazy.
We'll look into that.
Boy, 2 and... That's tough. That is tough. I'll tell you what one I just watched and I liked a lot. I'd heard about it was Gran Turismo.
Okay. Yeah.
Heard a lot about it, didn't see it, and then I think it was on Netflix, and it was a rainy Saturday night or something. I put it on. I'm like, it was a really good movie.
It's a video game movie. You didn't really think much of it,
Yeah, I don't have very high expectations when I'm watching a video game movie, but that was a really good one. And I guess going really old school would be Days of Thunder.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Tom Cruise.
Good PC.
You
can't go wrong with PC,
It's great. Yes, it is a good one. Good picks. Awesome. And thank you for doing this with me, Mike. It's been a while in the making, but we finally made it happen. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of What's the Deal. It's been fun. Thank you, Mike, again. Bye. See you in the next one.